Welcome, everybody, to a brand new podcast on all things energy drinks. We're going to talk about Bang and Reign and Monster and even the weak little piddly old school Red Bull. We're going to talk about the 140, the 240, the 300. We're talking about the ones the FDA wants to warn us on. We're going to get it all in today. I've sampled them all today, and I'm feeling great, and I'm ready just to get my record on. Yeah, the Bang and the Reign is the top supreme, and the Tweaker is doing okay, but that Venom, man, that Venom, I'm feeling that Venom, man. I don't know. Wait, my heart. AJ, get the AED. Get the AED. Ah!
Okay, everybody, Aaron's dead. This is now the Evil Safety Dude podcast. Welcome, everybody. I'll have to go get that AED and fire you back up.
We actually had a guy on a construction site one time. He was pounding Red Bulls and Dayquil, and he went down.
Ooh.
He had heart palpitations.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and there was a welder who used to be a paramedic and, took care of him, but it was kind of scary for a second.
There's all sorts of stuff that comes into problems with that. I knew somebody who was trying to do this weight loss program where they were intermittent fasting, and during their fast, they were taking caffeine pills.
Okay.
And they had, I can't remember it's not vasovagal syncope, but it was one of those very similar ones where you kind of end up having like a vascular and a heart problem at the same time. And so they fainted. They were okay. But yeah, just that extra caffeine while they weren't eating made them faint.
Weird.
And then, of course, in the video game world, there's like dozens of cases where kids have been just gaming for days and days and days, overdone it on those energy drinks and died.
Wow. All right. So, I mean, not really what our podcast is on, but it is a safety issue that could come into the workplace.
Now it's a podcast with me and Aaron Ghost.
Yeah.
Ghost Aaron.
All right. But like Mr. AJ said, we are really the Evil Safety Dudes. And we have a podcast on all things occupational health and safety, from how not to get sucked into a machine to how to survive an active killer at work. And today we got a super special podcast. We have an awesome guest host, which we'll introduce in a minute, and he is a PPE expert. So I'm excited because he actually taught me about PPE long time ago, coming to the roundtables and stuff and the lunch and learns, and being in the specialty world of PPE, he was breaking down like leading edge lanyards versus regular lanyards, and I'm like, what's a leading edge lanyard?
Getting into like those specifics.
Yeah, and he just broke it down, and he took my my consulting game to a higher level because of his level of expertise. So, but before we bring him on, what's new with you?
I just this week. I know everybody's been like waiting for this update.
They want to know about the moles.
No. The moles have been gone for.
Everybody wants to know about the moles.
Oh, the moles they haven't come back. I killed those two, and that was it.
We get 1,000 emails a day on AJ's moles.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah.
Everybody, the moles are vanquished. I conquered them. Good job, me. No, I finished this week. I finished my buddy's Gene Sealer Cult Army. 80 models are getting sent home to a very happy person who is very excited to play some more gaming.
One day, I'm hoping we have a guest who knows what you're talking about.
Who plays some Warhammer 40K?
Because I thought Braden might get it.
I don't know.
But he didn't know it.
He didn't know 40K.
Maybe Fred knows what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's popular. How about you? Is there anything new or interesting?
Oh, it's just insane in the membrane this month for just everything we got going for competitions, going down to Omaha for an MMA show. One of our guys is competing this Saturday, and then 3 are going to Des Moines to compete in jiu-jitsu this same Saturday. So
you're the one combat squad they're hitting all over the country.
Yeah, and then we got later on this month 3 boxers going to Minnesota, and one of our boxers is fighting the number 5 guy in the world right now.
Jeez.
And if he wins, his rankings are going to go up because it's about who he fights.
That's intense.
And we got seminars coming up, and I got to go to Lombard, Illinois.
Oh, is that the place that fixes your lower back?
I wish. It's because my lower back is tight right now from judo.
If you're going to name your city Lombard, Illinois.
Lombard.
Oh, was it Lombard?
Yeah, it's not Lombard, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
For a kickboxing show.
I got you.
So that's going to be exciting. But, yeah, always the same. All right, well,
we're coming at everybody from the IBC Podcast Fort Studio.
Yeah.
Mr. Aaron Iacino and myself, we are going to be today probably, I think we'd stick with what OSHA authorized outreach instructors.
Sure,
Since we're doing PPE.
Yeah. So we teach PPE all the time. We consult on PPE. We do a lot of the specific training on equipment, not just teaching the PPE course. Like,
sometimes I wear PPE.
Yes, almost every day. Like,
Yeah.
you got steel toes on right now?
I do. I'm wearing my steel toes.
That's cool. These tennies? Or
Yeah,
not your tennies,
they're
but
my little
like
moccasins.
Yeah, I got my tennies on, my steel toe
schmucks.
tennies. I'm not putting the boots on till winter.
I just wear these all the time. Like, I think they're that perfect medium.
Sometimes it gets me in trouble, though, like when I got to go do an emergency on site, like that guy who rolled this machine over a while ago. I had my tennies on. I was like, I wish I had my boots on because I'm going through, like, nasty stuff.
It's all
like,
gross. Yeah, that's why I stick with these.
Yeah, those you could probably clean better than tennies.
Yeah. Nice leather.
But let's get our guest on, man, because I'm super excited. So we're going to bring into the podcast Mr. Fred Radunzel. This guy works for Quad City Safety. And, AJ, help me out. He is the director.
Director of Sales and Marketing.
Yeah, so
for
this
Quad City Safety.
This guy knows what he's talking about. So how are you doing, Mr. Fred?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
That's cool, man. So we are going to just pick your brain on PPE and, it's cool to get an expert in on something. So, like, just let me pick your brain just on your job, just on PPE.
Hang on. First off, let me interrupt you. Are we talking moles on our body, or are we talking moles in the drain?
Yeah, that should be clarified, and it would be gross.
Yeah, because it could have gone either way. I was waiting for you to.
I'm just happy somebody wants to talk about me. No, I was having, and now I'm also sad because, I like it when people come on and they're like, yeah, I listen to your podcast, but now we know.
Now he doesn't listen to he doesn't know what kind of mole we're talking about. But
no, my backyard got invaded earlier this year, and I had a mole that, it just absolutely destroyed probably, I don't know, a quarter of my backyard. Just everything. It wasn't even like tunnels anymore. It was just nonsense. It just looked like a construction site. So I started trapping, and I got a big one right off the bat, like first day. Got a big one, and then I thought it was good because the neighbor dogs keep digging them up. So I was like, I think I'm okay. Well, then a little while later, I did get one more, but then that was it. I haven't had any new molehills. The neighbor dogs have dug 2 giant pits next to the fence in the yard, so I think whatever was out there, I think they've been plucking them as they poke their heads out. So I think I'm good. I think the mole problem is okay.
We try not to talk about each other's, body,
Aaron does. I'm okay with it. You want to talk about my bulging muscles? We can talk about them today.
That's one thing, but moles, unless we're doing a show on cancer safety for roofers on their backs.
Sunscreen?
Yeah, then we could get into moles.
Right.
Has your moles changed in size or color,
right?
AJ?
Are they changing in tenderness or firmness? Are they sensitive to touch?
All right, Mr. Fred, I got a question for you right off the bat. Just like in general on PPE sales, what's like the top thing that people are buying?
Ooh.
If you're talking from like a category perspective, I would still say the biggest spend item that people have is still hand protection.
Really?
Right. People going through it more?
Gloves,
like
is
regular
number 1.
reorders?
Yeah, I would say that's for someone's PPE program that regularly has a lot of different stuff that they're wearing. Hand protection is probably going to be the number 1 spend. So because it's consumable. There are a lot that cut resistant gloves can be expensive, or chemical gloves can be expensive. Impact gloves can be expensive. Electrical gloves can be expensive. So just from a category standpoint, I would say that's probably the number 1 thing that people go through.
That makes sense.
And that's definitely a category too, that the protection level keeps increasing and the prices keep coming down. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I that checks out with some of my experience. I remember one job lasted 1 year, and it was $8,000 in gloves when we were done. But you said impact gloves. What's an impact glove? Is it like a boxing glove, like impact stuff?
It's a glove with a spring-loaded mechanism so that when you punch, it provides additional impact.
You probably could. It's more deal with impact to the back of the hand, so like strikes to the back of the hand, metacarpal protection. Those are some of the easiest bones in the body to break, is those little bones on the back of your hand. So anyone that works in a tight space, mechanics, oil fields, all those different jobs, if they have the possibility of getting the back of their hand struck, they put those little like almost rubber, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they're almost like skeletons on the back of their hand. Little rubber pieces. So that would be an impact glove.
Okay, nice. See, that's why I want to have Fred on.
Yeah, it's like a
impact
reinforced. I've actually seen them. I've used them before. At my uncle works up at Car Structs more in Sioux Falls, and they've got a few of those reinforced back of the hand gloves. So if you got your hand at a tight spot, you're pushing something really hard, and then you accidentally slam it forward. You won't just like bust your hand open. Like it just kind of like pads it.
So dumb question for a guy who works for Quad City Safety, but are you in the Quad Cities right now?
I'm actually not. I'm actually like an hour from there currently. Okay. But yeah, the company is located in Davenport. So
cool.
One of the Quad Cities.
Nice. And would you sell to somebody in Sioux City?
Yeah, we have national accounts, so we sell all over the country.
Oh, awesome.
You don't discriminate against the west side of the state?
Don't. From when I was in the I still have some customers that are there, for sure.
Nice. Now, while we're on gloves, is anybody buying anti-vibration gloves?
Definitely a category that's sold. I wouldn't say it's a big spend thing, but yeah, if you're using vibrating tools, it certainly can help. A lot of the technology that's in like an anti-vibration glove sometimes does make dexterity an issue because it's lots of padding or foam or space age material that they put in the palm to really help with vibration. Sometimes that does have the tendency to make the glove a little bit thick, but we do sell them, but I wouldn't say that that's a big thing that's happening out there.
Right. Where my experience with those come in is heavy equipment operation. When you're running anything, even a little guy like a skid loader all day, a lot of those guys develop some of that. It's almost like a Parkinson's disorder where their hand shakes because of the nerve damage from the vibration. And that's when I really seen that anti-vibration glove come into play. But I've actually never seen anybody wear them in the field, though.
And that's part of the reason. The best glove is a glove that someone will wear. Yeah. And anti-vibration gloves, just the technology, I don't think it's quite there to make it where someone can do their job efficiently while wearing the gloves that are out.
Well, if I'm in a piece of heavy equipment all day and I'm all boxed in, and I got my cab shut, it might have some air conditioning in it, but probably, when I'm driving, it's going to be hot in there. And would you say an anti-vibration glove is probably a warm, padded glove? Like, it would be uncomfortable to wear if it was 100 degrees out to put gloves on?
Oh, and you get muscle soreness from trying to grab onto the tool or grab onto whatever you're using.
Right.
And there's so much padding on your hands, it makes it harder to curl your fingers.
Yeah, so that'd be a hard one to get like the guys on board wearing.
Damned if you don't.
Right. All right, I want to shift gears from gloves and talk about respiratory protection. Has the supplies kind of recovered yet on like N95s, P100s, from like, the first 3 COVID waves or whatever?
It's not back to 100%, but the stuff is out there for sure. Okay. Especially the stuff that's more at industry or construction. A lot of the valve respiratory is still out there. If you're looking for really like COVID protection, I haven't seen too many issues with even finding the non-valved N95s, P100s. I haven't heard of any back order issues there. Pricing wise, it still hasn't come back 100% to where it was beforehand.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part, I think respiratory's kind of returned to where availability is pretty good.
Well, that's good. I've noticed some of our clients that we were doing fit tests for last year that can only get super chintzy KN95s. I noticed this year they were actually able to score large amounts of real N95, so that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a debacle for a while there, but things do seem to have been a little bit normalized in that category for sure.
That's good.
I wonder, I've never seen any recalls, but I just always wondered, anything mass produced in a hurry with new staff that you've never, worked in the plant before. I was waiting for some recalls on some mass, like botched production made too fast, but I never saw any. I don't know if you saw anything like that.
I haven't heard of any recalls or anything. There was a lot of like product that was flooding the market that was fake. I mean, that certainly was happening. A lot of people selling, quote 3 or quote Moldex or something like that, and then the product would show up and it was just imitation stuff. So,
snap.
But no, as far as calls on like actual good stuff, I have not heard of anything. One other tricky thing that kind of came from masks was all the fly blue that are all over the place. That when they first came onto the market during COVID, it was $75 for a box of 50.
Mm-hmm.
And now the price is like $4 for a box of 50.
Nice.
So it just kind of shows you how insane things got for a while there. And we are still seeing the effects from that style of mask, because like your Tyvek, your protective clothing, your disposable stuff, that's all made from the same material that all those masks are made out of, the polypropylene that went into those masks. And so sometimes on protective clothing and on painter suits and your chemical suits and a lot of that stuff, and the price went through the roof on that stuff. So it's kind of crazy to think that one item jacked the price up for another item just because that material became so hard to find.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it makes sense though when you're saying that. The Tyvek suit, it seems like the same material of those surgical masks. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we were talking about recalls. I have a safety colleague of mine. She's really good at getting recall notifications on all PPE, and she'll email them to me from time to time, like, this lanyard's on recall, this harness is on recall. Is that really like an issue that safety professionals should be concerned about, for their companies, like, the chicken recalls and the spinach recalls?
Yeah, it happens all the time, especially fall protection. That's the major one that they'll realize that a place that it snaps together, that's failing, or failed. It's usually failed a few times. And so then they recall the lot of product. But yeah, that's definitely something that, not to like toot our own horns or any other places that are like us, but a lot of people buy stuff on the internet. If you're just buying something on the internet, not from someone that knows what they're talking about, it really makes the return process more difficult and getting notified of recalls, because like I know like 3M or DBI will send out a recall on a retractable, and then we have records of every single customer that bought that retractable, so you can be notified. So that is one thing for safety professionals to kind of look out for when they're purchasing their PPE is, how am I going to get notified if something went wrong, if something changes?
Yeah, that's actually hugely important. I've helped a few clients like that have shopped around for harnesses, and they've been like, "Oh, I want to find a nicer harness, or maybe one with more features, but isn't $100 a person. I got to put these on 80 people." And just like you said, you could find some, and it'll be like the name of the website will be something that just sounds way too specific, but it's like discountharnesssurplus.com, and then they'll buy a bunch of harnesses. Well, in a couple of weeks, that website isn't even there anymore. They can't go buy more. It's just gone.
And even more so, even like the monster that's out there, Amazon. If you buy something on Amazon, you're not going to get an email from Amazon about a recall.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. So fall protection is the one we got to worry about, and that sounds, like we definitely do, because if retractables are, say, the brake is not working, and you have an employee fall and the brake doesn't kick in and they just go 9 feet out, that 9-foot free fall would probably put more force on that harness than it was designed to arrest. Even if they didn't hit the ground, they might break through the harness.
They're just repelling. It's okay. They're just repelling.
Yeah.
It's surprise repelling. Yeah. You got to Indiana Jones it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, we were talking about in the intro of something you were teaching me about a long time ago, was the leading edge lanyards. Can you talk about that? How is that different from, like, are there levels of retractables as far as lanyard material goes?
Yeah, for sure. On a retractable, basically if you're next to a sharp edge or even some round edges, it's mostly about swing. So if you're walking close to the edge, you take a fall, and you swing, that lanyard material can rub on the corner and it can actually cut.
Yeah.
It's not good for leading edge. So if you notice, a lot of leading edge has almost like a second form of protection on there. So there'll be a shock pack and then the cable. So it takes so much force off of that cable by having the shock pack integrated into like that retractable. But yeah, it's usually it'll say LE on the actual model. So
it'll say what? Sorry, you kind of broke up. What will it say on the actual model?
What will be the name of it?
It'll say leading edge or LE.
LE.
Okay. Law enforcement.
Exactly.
It's for law enforcement repelling. LE. Okay. Leading edge.
Leading edge.
All right. Now, I remember a billion years ago, a lanyard came out, and I was super geeked. You know, it's like a safety guy actually designed it. It was a double retractable tie back. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I don't need anchor strap connectors and beam chasers. I got a tie back, but I also got double, so I could do 100% tie off when I'm transferring for anchor points. I was so excited. I was going to get the companies that needed this to buy them. And then I looked at the price, and they were like $800.
Yeah.
And then like a year later, another company came out with one, and I was all excited, and it was $600. Are those double retractable tiebacks still high? Because it's been a long time since I looked at them.
Yeah, just a lot of people don't use tiebacks. It seems like, and for whatever reason, I don't know if that's ever super caught on, like a twin Pelican hook, double tieback retractable. But so for everything that you just mentioned, price is still going to be pretty high.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't sold any in quite a while, so I haven't checked pricing. But if I had to guess, you're still in that ballpark there of the $500-$600 range.
Well, I don't think a lot of people purchasing them know about tiebacks. I was training a guy like yesterday or the day before, and he has had a lot of construction experience and a lot of training, and he didn't know that there was such thing as a tieback lanyard. He had training, and his training was always never loop back to yourself, and I've taught that a million times.
Yeah.
But now I say, unless
it's a tieback.
It's a tieback, and then I show him the different hooks and how to tell about the 5,000-pound gate strength and the side load on the lanyard. But I think, it's still new.
I mean, I've been around 10 years, and tiebacks have been around the entire time that I've been kind of in the industry. But I think the tricky thing almost comes from a compliance standpoint. When you're a company and you're trusting an employee to go out there with a tieback lanyard, and what are they gonna loop it around? Like if you see a piece of rebar that's hooked in, is somebody gonna try and throw their loop around that? So it's kind of, from a compliance standpoint, sure, you can be compliant with a tieback lanyard, but from a safety standpoint, I think sometimes it's a little tricky to get the Jimmies and Joes out there that work for you to make sure they're using that correctly. I think a tieback lanyard does require some level of trust and knowledge that you're trusting that employee that he's using that correctly. And if you're using a regular anchor point with kind of a standard snap hook, that's almost a little bit more dummy proof in my opinion.
Yeah, I run into the same issue with Pelican hooks, though, because people will put a Pelican hook on anything that it could fit on.
I have a guardrail, Pelican hook.
Yeah, and they're not always thinking about that 5,000-pound anchor point.
Yeah, there's a ladder right there. I'll just throw this on that ladder.
There you go. Yeah, it fits.
Here's this light hanger. Click.
All right. So any cool new PPE that you think we should know about? Like, I remember, just to give you an example, face shields have been the same forever, and then years ago they came out with the full frame around it, and they were super tough. To me, that was an innovation in face shields. I'm like, wow, tough face shields that won't break easy. Have you seen any cool tech or just upgrades on basic PPE that we've been using forever?
I think the one major, and there's a lot of stuff, whether like COVID kind of taught us about fogging. So when everyone was wearing masks, then we start talking about safety glasses and face shields fogging up.
Mm-hmm.
So the technology that's out there on anti-fog, 360-degree around the glass coated, these things that basically they don't fog up.
Wow.
So I'd say that's something that's pretty new.
I have to test that one.
What's that?
I definitely got to get some and test that because we've tried anti-fog wipes, anti-fog glasses, everything.
Yep.
And I have never been happy with any of them. So if you're saying there's a new one out there that's truly anti-fog, that would be a game changer.
Have you tried my ski or snowboarder anti-fog trick yet?
Your soap trick?
Soap.
No, I have not tried the soap trick.
You just take soap. It's got to be a good hard hand soap with no dye and no scent. You can usually order it off like Amazon or something because Walmart almost never carries that stuff anymore. Everything's got like decorative stuff. But you just foam it up like crazy. You rub it all over your safety glasses inside and outside, and you let it dry. And then with a nice cotton cloth, you're going to wait after it's dry, and you're going to buff it off gently because you don't want to remove it all. But when you buff it, you've basically waxed your glasses, and now they will not fog.
So is that like paraffin wax?
Well, yeah, it's any hand soap, yeah. So you can it's just got to have the less scent and the less color, the better.
That seems like a cool trick. I just want to buy one that works, though.
Right. I was like, so right there is that's what you do out there. But that goes away. So,
right.
And then you got to redo it. You just listed off. He just listed off about 10 steps that he has to do to make his glasses not fog up.
Yep.
Or you can buy a pair of glasses that have the coating baked right into them, and for the life of that glass, it's most likely not going to fog up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
That would be how I'd combat that. Yeah, you can go into the lab and work with all your chemicals, mix them all up, and then maybe you can figure it out.
But we're also lazy, so like just buying some that are ready to go would be great.
That'd be awesome.
With a coating baked into it that's inherent to the glass, and you should be okay.
So what do you look for if you're trying to buy those? Like, what's it going to say?
What's that?
Because what are you going to look for that makes that one special? Because I've seen tons that say anti-fog, bought them, and there's like no anti-fog. You put them on, and right away they're sweating. And
I hate to toot horns again. But
no, go for it.
Finding that safety specialist company that you're buying from that can educate you on the correct things, and then getting them for trials in your facilities or on your job sites to make sure that it works for your environment.
Well, throw some
CIP
brands or something.
Whoops, sorry, go ahead.
Throw some brands or something because we want to buy some like now.
Yeah, what's a reputable brand for some anti-fog?
PIP has a good one. It's called the Recon glass. They have a 360-degree coating, so that coating gets baked on the inside of the glass and the outside of the glass. So they have a really nice one. Radians has a line of glasses. Their coating is called Acuity, and it works really, really well.
Okay.
So that would be another one I would check out. And it's on 10 different styles. The actual coating is called Acuity, though.
Icuity, not Acuity, like Icuity.
No, letter I, Quity.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like eyeball, Icuity.
Yep. So,
Ooh.
And then kind of switching gears, went to your question. Another big one that's out there is safety helmets. So I'm sure you guys have started seeing that hard hats, I think, are slowly starting to be used less and less in more of that climbing style of helmet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's starting to be used a lot more, especially for someone that needs head protection working at heights. So we're seeing it a lot in wind. We're seeing it a lot in the elevator industry. Really, anyone that works at heights that can get that tight-fitting, low-profile hard hat that's not going to fall off.
Sure. You got a lot more headspace to move around and climb into those areas, and you don't have this big bill hanging out and all that bulkiness.
All the accessories that integrate with them, whether it's a face shield that really integrates well into it, or a drop-down safety glass, or your hearing protection.
Talking about those.
They're really, really slick. Now the price is still pretty high, but every single manufacturer is starting to make a safety helmet.
What are we talking about? If I wanted something cool that came with built-in safety glasses. So if I wanted a cool climbing helmet with built-in safety glasses, how much do I need to save?
It's brand to brand. So there's brands that are in that $40 to $50 range.
Okay,
you go
not
up to
bad.
Like a Kask helmet, which is Kask, I would say, is pretty much the industry leader in that space.
Okay.
And theirs are more in the $90 to $100 range.
Oof. Still, though, I mean, that's actually a lot better than these like carbon fiber ones all the guys around here are buying.
Is it still like a 3 or 5 year expiration?
That's what I was going to say next. Is like on a regular hard hat, if you look at the literature that's on it, it says you have to be replacing that suspension on an annual basis.
What?
So the guts of the hard hat are supposed to be taken out, thrown away, and replaced every single year.
Okay.
And if you start doing the math on that, a new suspension for, say, an MSA V-Guard hard hat, which is the most popular hard hat out there,
right?
It's about $10 for the suspension. Well, a hard hat costs $14 with the suspension. So what people do is they just get rid of them. A lot of these climbing style helmets, like for instance a casque, the suspension lasts 10 years.
What?
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe you're spending $100 up front for that hard hat, but you don't have all the maintenance. It's probably a better mousetrap than a standard hard hat. It's going to be more comfortable. Going to be safer working at height, and and that suspension, you're not putting that $9-10 bill every single year. What probably a lot of people are doing is not replacing them when they're supposed to.
Yeah, does that hard hat last 10 years then?
As long as it passes inspection.
Really? Okay, because that's what Aaron and I were wondering too, is because some of these other cheaper ones, they'll say right on there, this hard hat expires after opening, 3 to 5 years once removing packaging, or it'll just have a date that just says, no good anymore here. So this one could actually last longer. So it's one of those investment things. You actually invest the money up front. It'll last you longer. It'll be more comfortable. Your employees are a lot more likely to wear it. And in my opinion, I like it because it makes it a little more dummy-proof for your employees, because they're going to hang on to that hard hat for 15 years, and that thing was supposed to get thrown away 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think the Department of Labor did a study that basically said for every dollar that was spent on PPE, that $2 will return to the company.
Nice.
Mm.
So you can actually, by spending money on PPE, on the right stuff that people wear, you can actually increase profits.
Nice.
Definitely. Well, I got a question on those as far as the class, because, we definitely have some clients that only require C, like the bump cap style and like manufacturing, food manufacturing. But we got a ton of clients that got to wear that Class G, construction grade hard hat that has not only just the head bump protection, but the impact protection. Would these new ones cover a construction site, or are they only more for bump cap type stuff?
Nope. Yeah, it's going to be the same standard as a hard hat. So you're going to be Class D, Class E. So usually the Class D would be more like the vented version. Still fits into that. So if you don't need the electrical protection, you can be in that. But even if you need to be in a Class E, as long as it's not vented, most every single brand will qualify for that. So
wow.
That's cool.
Now, how about the cowboy style hard hat? I actually have a couple kids wearing them. We had to look over the ANSI standard to make sure that it was, legal and all that fun stuff. But it actually didn't last that long. I was surprised that they'd actually had a replacement of only 3 years. Are you selling very many cowboy style hard hats?
The next one that I sell will be the first one. I have been asked about that style of hat before. No, to answer your question, no, we don't really sell them.
I'm always telling them, I wouldn't wear it. It's got this big bill on the side. If something falls, it's going to, catch it and, snap your head to the side. But they like it. They get a kick out of it.
Maybe it's compliant, but it's probably not safe.
Right?
I want a fedora-style hard hat.
You keep
talking about cowboy. I want a fedora or a paperboy style. Let's be styling on the construction site.
I'm not on board.
I would take a baseball cap.
Do you look like? Are you golfing? Go to construction site
not
with
the Larry Curly Moe fat ones, but there's these really cool looking newsboy, paperboy, not the frumpy ones. Yeah.
But you want it in a hard hat style.
Why not? Why not look cool while you're on site? Fred told us it's you need PPE that people will wear.
I mean, and you would wear it. You got one customer.
I feel like
guaranteed.
A stormtrooper when I wear my Class G.
Yeah, that thing's big.
Yeah, I'm like clunk, clunk, clunk. All right, cool.
Helmet, that's a much lower profile, so you might want to take a look.
Yeah, I love low pro stuff. All right, so we talked a little bit about new tech and hard hats, and we talked about some lanyards and gloves. We talked about respirators, but PPE is such a broad category. What didn't we talk about?
Boots.
Yeah, the boots. It kind of talked about the chemical protective clothing a little bit.
A little bit.
But just going into respiratory protection with SCBAs, what I've noticed over the years on those is just the tank material changing, and the amount of time of air has increased a lot. So I think that, and then all the cool new mic features. Those are pretty sweet, how they can integrate right into your comms.
Yeah, headsets built into your SCBA.
All right.
Cool. That'd be another thing inside of an SCBA, keeping yourself cool.
Cooling and heating.
Stuff, but if you can have a little filter that puts on that blows cool air inside that unit, that can make a world of difference.
Yeah, that'd be a game changer.
Nice.
I mean, I've had to, especially when we did like our big training and our big courses, stand inside a level A hazmat suit out in the sun, and it's already 90, 100 degrees out here in Iowa, and now you're in like a sweat box. It'd be cool if that thing was like actually air conditioning around you a little bit. I mean, that would make a huge world of difference.
Yeah, if it exists.
That's cool.
One thing I've always wanted to do is get on a level A, with the SCBA on, put the level A on, make sure I'm zipped up, and jump inside a pool. I've always wanted to do that.
Just like bob around, because like you're not going to get the air out of it. Like there's no way you're going to sink.
Well, I mean, it's fun. It's part for fun, part to test it, because it's supposed to be a total encapsulating suit.
Yeah.
So nothing's supposed to come in, but it does have a valve on the back. When you start to puff up, you could squeeze yourself and bend over. So if I was floating and I did that in the water, would I sink?
No, I think all the air it would literally just go straight to the top, and you would be like suspended. You'd be like a bobber. You'd be like holding the little baggie down, and there'd be like a bubble at the top you wouldn't be able to get the air out of. I think you'd just float, but I would actually like to test it.
We should try it one day, just not in the river, because you might never
That'd
find
be a bad
it
idea.
again. Yeah.
Well, we just follow your little bubble down the.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, cool. So let's switch gears to a different PPE category. So, let's deal with the foot protection. So you guys, steel toe was forever, but is it moving to composite and aluminum, or are people still putting steel in toes?
Definitely all of the above. So it's application based. Now a composite toe or an aluminum toe or a steel toe, they're all tested and rated the same ways. So if you have something on that's got the same safety ratings on it, they're all tested the same way.
Okay.
But yeah, composites are obviously lighter weight. They don't get as cold or as hot. So in a lot of jobs, that can be a major issue.
Mm-hmm.
Metal detectors. Sometimes people have to go in and out of metal detectors. So if you have a composite on, that'll definitely pass that. But
there you go. I didn't even think of that.
A steel mill, for instance, maybe you don't want that composite to be there. You'd prefer to have a steel toe. And then metatarsals, that'd be the other, major game changer. Like, can something fall on your foot from above? You got to protect all those little bones with those feet.
So what about, I had a pair of boots one time with a steel shank in the sole for like stepping on nails. You guys move a lot of those? That's kind of a specialty boot there.
There's a lot of boots that have a steel shank in them. I would say the shank is more for stability. It's more of a, I don't know. There's a puncture rating. So there's boots out there that are puncture resistant.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that's, like, I know California, they started requiring that on a lot of boots. Alosha, that they started requiring boots are puncture resistant. So that's something to do with the sole, and how that sole is built. But yes, we do sell a lot with steel. So it's, like I said, it's really dependent on what's your industry and what the job is, and finding the right job or right boot for your job.
Have you ever heard of an employee say that they will not wear steel toe because they don't want to get frostbite and lose their toes?
I have not heard that. I've heard the old wives' tale of, like, that if something falls on you, I don't need to wear steel toe boots because if something falls on top, that the steel can bend and cut my toes off.
Yeah.
That's like an old wives' tale that I think has been proven. I think Mythbusters actually showed on that like it's pretty much impossible to be able to bend that steel that's in there.
Yep. That was a really good episode, actually. I Googled it. It's a good one.
Oh, Mythbusters?
Yeah.
I think you kind of got to look at your foot protection as a system. And so you're going to be working in cold. Socks are a major part of your foot protection.
Mm-hmm.
You do want to make sure that you have on warm socks. And in those industries, maybe composite makes sense for our work because temperature, the steel does get cold. I haven't heard of frostbite on anybody, but I'd have a tough time if they were wearing the right socks, seeing it how they get frostbite through their stock.
Yeah, I think it's you just want to complain and excuse not to wear it because as long as I've been around, I've just never heard of a case where there was an injury from the steel toes at all. Other people swear there has been many, but I'm just like it's the site rule, But nowadays I could say, well, go buy some composite then. So that is nice that there is new materials out there because when they come with that reason why they're not going to wear them, well, there's another material out there. So that's pretty cool.
Yep, that goes back to the earlier point that the best PPE is the PPE that they're going to wear.
Right. Yeah. Right. So what about cut resistant stuff? Have you seen that improve over the years? I've done a lot of testing, a decade ago, putting on like dummy hands, these cut resistant gloves, and then slashing them up with razor blades, and it was fun.
Aaron's just attacking these little hands. He's like, aha!
Yeah, and seeing how well they do, and
Yeah, I suggest going fruit. Go fruit in the future.
Okay, put
a glove on like an orange or something like that. It reacts like the skin. You get a nice squirt when you cut through it.
Oh, there you go.
Cool.
Go orange.
Nice. So, I remember back in the day it was Dyneema, Kevlar. Has there been any new materials for cut resistance that you're aware of, or are those still, the top?
No, absolutely there has been. Dyneema is basically an HPPE, which is like high density polyethylene. So Dyneema is a brand. So they were the first ones on the industry with like a cooler temperature, highly cut resistant fabric, whereas it was Kevlar before that. So there's still Kevlar stuff out there. Good application for Kevlar. Also going to have the potential for heat. A lot of these new fabrics will melt, so high heat can be a major issue for it. But there's all kinds of different materials. Like people integrate steel, metal shaving. So there's all kinds of different technology that's out there. In the last few years, the cut standard scale had changed.
Oh, really?
So a 1 through 5 scale. And then a few years ago, ANSI actually changed the rating system. So it went from A1 to A9. And so the scale's gotten a lot bigger. And like I think I was saying it earlier, but the prices keep going down and the protection level keeps going up. So I tried on an A9 cut resistant glove today, and it was made by Wells Lamont. And it felt like level 2 entry level cut resistant gloves did when I started 8 years ago.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So A9's the most cut resistant.
Yep.
All right, so that makes sense.
There's A9 stuff out there that you can bend your hand in. You can really work in it. And I don't know, the glove was like $10 a pair.
Nice.
Right, and so that's what's kind of crazy for me, and that's why people should definitely get in touch with people like you. That's kind of why we love having these guest speakers on our podcast to get you guys out there as much as, just talking about safety. But one of the HVAC companies I work with, a ton of, had never taken the time to reevaluate a lot of their continuous order of PPE stuff. So they'd always ordered the same Kevlar gloves that they'd been ordering for years and years and years and years. And they were cut resistant like 2, and they were 3s, and then they were $14 a pair. But the guys didn't like them, made their hands all slimy on the inside. The Kevlar peeled off, They weren't a great glove, but they thought, wow, we got a great deal on these, 15 years ago. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I started just looking around. We got a hold of a distributor and found that we could actually get better cut-resistant gloves made out of a nicer material that wasn't Kevlar that allowed their hands to breathe, and they were less than $7 a pair. So all of a sudden they jumped up. They had more comfort. They had something that was easier to order and less than half the price.
For sure. Yeah, and I actually think it's starting to get less expensive enough that the entry-level cut-resistant gloves like the A2s are going to start replacing general-purpose gloves.
Nice.
Yeah.
General-purpose gloves just won't even exist anymore because I can get an entry-level cut-resistant glove for $2 a pair.
Nice.
Right.
All right, let's switch gears. We're not asking you to call out any company names or anything, but I just want to pick your brain. Something we like to talk about on the show is like actual OSHA violations on the topic that we've worked. So, have you seen or been involved in or you had to sell some PPE because of like a big OSHA citation that was PPE related?
For sure. I mean,
Nice.
10 different examples. Eye wash is a major one.
Oh, heck yeah.
I guess I don't know if that falls in the category of PPE, but safety equipment. Eye wash that's something that, like, if an OSHA person comes onto site, that's the easiest thing that they can spot right away. Is first aid. Where are the first aid cabinets? Where's the eye wash?
Yep.
So that's something. That's definitely something. Hearing is another major one. Like, hey, do you have a hearing conservation program? What is that? And I'm sure that's something that you guys get to help out with pretty often. Helping write those hearing conservation programs. But that's something like, how many forms of hearing protection do you have on site? We have that box of dusty earplugs over there. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. So that's definitely a major one. Fall protection is huge. A lot of times it's, hey, these guys are unloading trucks here. Well, how high is the truck bed that they're unloading? It's about 6 feet off the ground. Well, technically, they should be wearing fall protection.
Oof.
They're up there, so that can be a major one. Or yeah, I guess my boss always says blood and guts really write all these standards.
Yeah.
If something new comes along because somebody got hurt. And so whether it's fall protection or gas monitors, there's somebody dies and all of a sudden it becomes a priority for sure.
Right.
So I want to go back to that old dusty box of foamies. Why doesn't that cut it? That's what everybody has. They got
because you're supposed to offer choices.
Okay.
So my ear canal is not the same as your ear canal is not the same as AJ's ear canal. So all hearing protection will not fit us the same. So I believe that the standard actually reads that you have to offer choices.
So could I just get 2 different brands of foamies and be good?
Probably.
Okay.
You probably could. But once again, are we trying to be compliant or are we trying to be safe?
Right.
I like that question.
Yep.
Well, I have noticed a lot of the places we go that seem more up on safety, that have been more on board with that, when they offer the hearing protection, they'll offer those the water resistant, like plunger style, that are just like that hard rubbery plastic, and then they'll also have the foam. Right. So then they'll be offering 2 totally different styles, but they're both ear protection. So,
are you training your employees on how to wear it? Where's it at? Is it easily accessible?
Right.
Like, there's all different kinds of things that you gotta look at when it comes to hearing protection. Have you tested different levels at different places in your facility? Like, this job over here is the same as that job over there, and they might need different NRR ratings.
Right. So I mean, that reminds me of the respiratory protection standard, where you have to have alternate masks if one mask doesn't fit. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah. And you have to pass a fit test. Yeah.
And I agree with you. It's super rare that any employer ever actually has a course, a document proving they train their people on how to put in foamies.
Yeah. Or are they wearing the PPE that they're wearing?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, job boards can be helpful, like putting up a big board in your facility saying this job wears this and this job wears that. These are the hazards that you face. Like, that needs to be a part of somebody's training program for sure.
Also, I don't think anybody, not anybody, but very few people actually train on the purpose of safety glasses. Everybody that I ask that's wearing safety glasses, what's that designed for? They always say flying particles. And they just don't work well for that. Do you guys, have you guys got into the spoggle stuff where it's like the foam lined safety glasses that are on like a cord that pulls it tight to your head, kind of the baby of a goggle and a safety glass?
Yeah, absolutely. There's And that's another one that there's so much technology of like foams and rubbers and different materials and how they fit them to really fit up against your face tightly. But yeah, that definitely, I'd say in the last 5 years or so, that's become a huge issue. Like people that work on dusty job sites. I think it's 3M, if I'm not mistaken, has one that fits real tightly against the forehead. Like because that's where that stuff really collects. It's right on top. It comes in the top of your glasses. So if you can get something that has a foam or a rubber inside, as long, so to answer your question, we've seen some of that.
Cool. We get some general contractors around here that are running big job sites that come up with some pretty specific PPE rules, and I'm just like always thinking in my head, well, that's great business for the PPE sales guys. Like we had this general contractor out here years ago on the CF expansion. They required everybody to wear an orange tipped glove.
Yeah.
And then everybody around here, we're talking about 5,000 people at one point on that job, had to wear orange tip gloves. I'm like, man, I need to be in PPE sales.
Yeah. We stocked watch your hands style, like leather driver.
Yeah.
Most of them will say watch your hands on the back and then have those orange fingertips just on the regular cowhide leather driver.
Yeah. They also required the spoggle, and at that point, that was the first time I heard of it. I was like, what? It's like, yeah, you have to wear spoggles if the wind rating is so many miles per hour. So you have to take your safety glasses off, and everybody has to wear spoggles.
On the whole job?
Yeah. If we catch you on site and the wind is so much miles per hour and you don't have spoggles on, you're in trouble. And I'm like, yes, sir. What's a spoggle?
Yeah. Then I remember when that happened, we were really doing a lot with the fertilizer plant that was in Burlington, Iowa. And so we were doing a little bit over at CF. And I do remember when that happened. And then the issue becomes, once again, fogging. So we have these tight-fitting spoggle glasses, but everyone is fogged. Everyone's glasses are completely fogged up. So then what we did was we found, I think it was Pyramex, that made a dual lens safety glass with foam on there. So between the two lenses, that eradicated the fogging issue.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. So wrapping up today's podcast, is there anything that we need to pick his brain on? We talk about shoes and hands.
Have you come across anything? I'm just a super tech geek. I love stuff that's way overdone. Like, I like gimmicky things. I like, when people even look at it, they're like, well, what's the point of it? I'm like, I don't know, but it's cool. Do you have anything that you could think of right now, maybe that you've seen recently or worked with in the last couple of years that's maybe way just overdone or it's just cool? Like you have a neat piece of PP that you'd be like, I just like it because it's cool.
There's a company that's called Steelflex, and they're in Canada. They have an N95 respirator that has an integrated fan. So basically inside the filter that's on the front has a little fan that blows, and it blows cool air into your face as you wear.
Okay, that's cool.
An N95 respirator.
That is cool. Is it obviously it's got some kind of little battery inside or what?
Yeah, it has to. I've tried it on, but I haven't looked enough into the technology. It was one of those products that lasted onto the market, and then it was awesome, and then immediately they were sold out, and it's like, when are you going to get more of those 6 months from now?
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Okay, yeah.
What about all the like apps that can integrate to your PPE? Have you seen like the harnesses with the tech in them that you could scan so you could prove you've inspected it and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's got all the RFIDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's been around for a little while. I think that's cool. This isn't really PPE, but in regards to first aid, the company First Aid Only has an app where they basically put little codes on all aid items. So when you go around and you're checking your first aid, you can go through and you just scan every single item. You can see what's empty, and that makes like the refill process a lot harder. It makes you can tell that someone isn't regularly inspecting those things. It gives you alerts on your phone to remind you to go check that stuff out. AEDs. I heard you mention AEDs earlier. That's another product that like the app integration really makes Makes that process of like inspecting that stuff easier.
I think from now on, I am going to introduce you as the ghost of Aaron Iacino.
Do you sell AEDs?
We do.
What's your cheapest one?
Mostly the company we work with is Zoll. So we sell Zoll. Theirs is supposed to be their like sell point is that cost of ownership is less because you have to replace batteries and pads every 5 years instead of every 2 years. So over the course of the life of the AED, it's less expensive. It's in like the $1,700 range.
That's still not bad though. I mean, I remember.
And especially, I mean, if you buy one that's $1,200, you have to replace $200 in pads and batteries every couple years. It adds up, you know. So cost of ownership is less, and it's got the true. That's another tech thing that's cool. Is it's got the real-time CPR. That basically it's talking to you as you're doing CPR, telling you that you're not pushing hard enough.
What?
That you're pushing too hard. You haven't seen that?
It'll actually give you like a pressure indicator. It'll say you're applying too much pressure, not enough pressure.
Yeah, push. It'll be like push harder, push harder, push harder.
That's awesome.
Back off.
So somehow the AED pads.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah.
I like it.
So the AED machine.
You know as well as I do. Like everything's great that you're trained on AED use, but in a panic, that stuff goes out the window and you forget what you're doing, and the adrenaline's pumping, and you just go in there and you start crushing chest.
Yeah. So that's really cool.
So yeah, that's something to look out for.
So that AED, the pads that are on the victim, it's designed to also sense pressure, it seems like.
Correct.
And then, that's awesome.
I'm not 100% sure on but I know it absolutely talks to you as you're doing it.
That's really cool. I mean, I love all the ones that say, perform 30 to remind me. Now perform 2 rescue breaths. You know, I love all of the automation. But if it also added pressure on there, like
that's hardcore.
If it somehow, I want to look into it now, because maybe if your hand's not in the right place, you're not even squishing the heart down.
Yeah.
Maybe it might say fix hand placement, because maybe it could tell somehow if the heart's being squished or something. So that's all pretty cool stuff.
Well, and I think that perfectly, it's a great way to end our podcast today, is it really highlights the reason why people should, if you're planning on ordering PPE or upgrading your company's PPE or just finding a new distributor, like, you should talk to somebody who's a professional on it, because they're going to tell you things that you don't even know, that you'd be like, well, I wish I would have known that. That's what I would have bought.
Yes.
Yeah. That, I don't have to get Kevlar gloves. I could have gotten these other cool ones that breathe, or I needed an AED. I didn't even know I could have gotten this one that talks to us. Like, it really highlights that. And
just keeping on that same line of thinking, Fred, how many, in your estimation, how many people are ordering from you? It's their job to order PPE for their company, and they're not a safety professional.
How many people order from us that aren't safety professionals, you're saying?
Yeah.
It's probably, it depends on the company, but I would guess it's 50-50.
Yeah.
There's so many office managers. There's custodian is in charge of safety. It's a manager. It's the job foreman at this construction site that's ordering. It's the reception that orders
when you get
PPE.
To be that person for your company that shows up with the cool new gear that you actually saved everybody money, they're gonna be like, wow, like, we love this guy. Like, he got us the new gloves, or he got us the cool safety glasses that don't fog up anymore. And really, you're like, actually, I ordered those because they're $10 cheaper than the other ones, and we're saving like $10,000 a month now. Yeah.
And in your case,
it's depending on the company, it's like purchasing sometimes makes the decisions, and sometimes safety makes the decisions.
Right. Sure. Yeah. And sometimes safety and purchasing fight over who's making the decision.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I feel safety should make the call on the safety equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, 100%. Like, argue against that, it would be a tough one. Yeah.
But you guys do trials and stuff too, though, don't you? Right? So it doesn't have to be like a major commitment. If somebody's like, well, I want to try that cool new tech, but I don't have to buy 1,000 of them just to find out that, nobody likes them, and now 800 of them are going to sit in the shop. Like, you guys do like a trial, right?
For sure. But there definitely are companies that, like, even from a trial standpoint, you don't want to create hassle. So It's like, if we have this glove, we're using this glove, it's working great, no one's getting hurt, why would we want to look at something new?
Yep.
Even if it's less expensive, that's paperwork that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
I get it.
So it's all on where's that buy-in within your company.
Right.
All right, cool, man. Well, I really enjoyed you on our show, Fred, and I learned a lot as usual. And what if people want to follow you or get a hold of you, what could they do?
I would say you could reach out on our website, quadcitysafety.com. My email is very simple. It's just Fred, F-R-E-D, @quadcitysafety.com. If anyone wants to get a hold of me, I'm on LinkedIn. So that's another access point. But the website, whatever. I'm available. You can find me.
Cool.
Easy. Quad City Safety or Fred at Quad City Safety.
Do you still, or do I remember you have had or still have a podcast as well?
We had one. We did it like 5 years ago. I don't know, man. I think we were maybe first. I don't know if there was anybody safety-wise that was doing a podcast, and we started doing one. We did 36 episodes, and then we probably weren't getting what we wanted out of it, and it became a lot of time that we were investing into it, and so we stopped doing it. But you guys having pretty good success? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, we got like 4 people.
Yeah, we got like two and a half people.
Sorry, the 4 that you listened to our show.
One's a robot. The other guy was you when you clicked on it to listen to one episode.
Somebody accidentally searching moles found a couple of them, I'm sure.
I mean, I remember years ago you telling me about it, and I remember it was awesome because you guys were being you. It's kind of like how we designed our show to bring safety information, but in a laid back and humorous way. And so, is it still out there?
Oh yeah, you can find it. It's called Safety Tales.
Cool, nice. So like DuckTales, but Safety Tales.
Exactly.
Nice,
Excellent.
Nice. All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much for your time today and your expertise. And for Mr. AJ Hanscom, I'm Aaron Icino, and together we are the Evil Safety Dudes. Stay safe out there, everybody.